Hello everyone, Jeff here, back with you for a third video this week, and this time it's a Spin Zone Out video. So without further ado, let's jump right in. I've got 8 albums and a 45 and a CD to show this time around. As promised in my last one, I had listened to only one of the 2 discs on this set, the Complete Imperial Recordings by Albert Collins. This was a VCLT from Hannah, the Omaha Introvert. Love her channel. And yeah, this was everything that Albert Collins had recorded on that label in the 60s. So it's chock full of that bright, cold, ice-picking guitar work that Albert Collins is known for. So it here's one of the CDs. Oh, it just fell out. And here's the booklet that came with it. I'm not doing this over. It's one take, so mistakes and all, you get to see everything with me. And yeah, this is just great music, and this is stuff that is very easy to listen to, especially like in the car. So I've got other VCLT stuff from Hannah to come in this video, so but thank you for this one, Hannah. This is a great one, so I really love it. All right, cleaning up some REM business that I didn't get to last time. This is their album Document. This one came out in 1987. It seems like as every album went by for REM, they got a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger until they became massive superstars like in the early 90s. But this album is also another of the Gold Stamp promos that I've got, and this album is just full of REM classics. Finest Work Song. What else is in here? I can't read the doggone thing. Exhuming McCarthy's on this one. Yes, that's a good one. It's the End of the World as We Know It, of course. And the one I love, which I think was actually their first chart hit. So, in the realm of REM albums, this one stands tall with the rest. And I know my wife loved this one a lot too. So, Document was one of the 2 REM albums left that I hadn't played, that I have on vinyl. And the last one being Automatic for the People. This is a reissue that just came out, I think this year or last year. And you can read this one a lot easier. This is a great one. This is probably, for me, I think with the exception of Monster, which came out a couple years after this one, this is pretty much where I stopped with REM. Yeah, you know, I just kind of lost touch with them after a while. But this album here is killer from front to back. I mean, Drive is on this one. The Sidewinder Sleeps Tonight, which has that chorus that just won't leave my head. And I'm not going to sing it for you because it's going to go back in my head and I'll be humming it again for another week. So, Everybody Hurts is on this one. Ignore Land. Man on the Moon, which is one of my favorite REM songs. This came out in 1992, but this is a reissue. So, very glad to have this on vinyl. And this concludes the REM portion of my collection. For now. I think the only album that I still need to get by them is Reckoning. That's the only one I'm missing from the 80s. So, probably at some point in the future I'll come across it and track it down, but for all intents and purposes I'm pretty much done with collecting REM on vinyl. And now we've got another VCLT album. I showed this on my last one. This was from Hannah as well. Ray Charles in Person. This was a live album. And just showing it here again quickly. It played great. It was a nice, clean copy. It only had a tiny bit of surface noise, but for all intents and purposes, it played like almost a new record. And I know this one is got to be from the 60s, if not earlier. I'm guessing mid to late 60s. Just going off of the Atlantic label. So, and I think this album originally came out in 59, or this concert was recorded in 59. So, yeah, this is some killer stuff. Actually, as soon as I finished the last video showing this, I played it right away. So, pictures of this popped up on Facebook and Instagram. I forgot to mention I'm on Instagram now because of Hannah. So I've got all kinds of basically the same stuff I post on Facebook is also on Instagram too. But I've got all kinds of people following me now, and I don't know who almost any of them are. I know who a few people are, but it seems like every day I get more notifications telling me this one's following me, that one's following me. Okay. I just post stuff out there, just like on Facebook. But, yeah, this is a killer album. I'll be playing this one a lot more in the near future. Ray Charles in person. Great stuff. This is another one. I showed this one last time, and I spun it. Do They Know It's Christmas? And this has the, actually the B-side has the standard mix, and then this section here called Feed the World is basically a lot of the artists, most of the artists that were pictured here, giving out Christmas messages. At the end, David Bowie actually does a very nice long Christmas message, and then of course Bob Geldof. And on the A side, the Trevor Horn remix basically incorporates both of these two into one track. So while the song is playing, Do You Know It's Christmas, you hear the comments from the stars mixed in throughout. So that's cool, you know. This has been one of my favorite Christmas songs, and I'm glad to have it on a nice, clean 12-inch single. So there was that. Then, after that, I played another Hannah VCLT. I showed this one last time too. Sweet Freedom by... Oh, sorry. That's Sweet Freedom by Michael McDonald. Which I guess is originally from Red. So thank you, Hannah, and thank you, Red, because this is a mint copy of this 45, and I love Michael McDonald, so I just wanted to show it again. Just saying that I played it. Great stuff. Now, yesterday I listened to the equivalent of 3 double albums, so I was a busy boy yesterday, and I posted all of these on Facebook too, but I'll just show them quickly here. The first one up was Curtis Live, obviously by Curtis Mayfield. Here's the back. This was a concert that he did at the Bitter End in New York City. So there's his band. We've got all the lyrics to all the songs in the gatefold, and it's on the famous Curtom record label. So this was a good listen. I'd been meaning to play this one for a while. This was kind of a back of the crate record. Not intentionally, but, you know, these things happen. I'm a big fan of Curtis Mayfield, and besides the Superfly soundtrack, I don't really have anything else by him on vinyl, which I need to change. I need to find more Curtis Mayfield, but this was a start. So Curtis Live was the first one that I played. And then this one got a lot of attention on Facebook. This was Smile. It's actually called the Smile Sessions by the Beach Boys. And what it is a collection of all of the tracks, more or less, that the Beach Boys made for an album that was supposed to be called Smile, but famously never was completed, although some of the songs wound up on other albums. Basically, they just took what material was there, cleaned it up, and tried to put it in some kind of an order. And it's not, I guess, from other comments that I've read on Facebook, it's not the complete version, obviously. The 2004 version that Brian Wilson released as a solo album called Smile is supposed to be the true manifestation of his original musical vision. I bought this just because I liked the sound of the Beach Boys during this period, and this was their follow-up to Pet Sounds, so it has a lot of that same studio sound that is on the Pet Sounds album. A lot of that is still here. So, and you just can't replicate that anymore. That time is gone. So I just wanted to hear these songs as they were originally, as best I could. Even though, it's not a complete album. And, there's no denying that a lot of these songs are kind of fractured, and they are just kind of like snippets. But you do have, you have Good Vibrations, which is really, to me, the crown jewel of the Beach Boys catalog. I mean, that's just an all-time classic song. Heroes and Villains, Surf's Up, Cabin Essence, those are all great songs. And a lot of what else, a lot of the rest are okay. But it was just that studio sound, that drum sound. This was still Brian Wilson at the peak of his powers, right before he was about to just fall off the cliff, You can even hear that. You can almost hear like the cracks starting to form in this record while you're playing it. Not counting the songs that I mentioned. But I just liked hearing that sound, that Brian Wilson was, using the studio as an instrument, basically. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to finish this originally in 1967 when it was supposed to be. But someday I'll have to get a copy of the Brian Wilson version of Smile just to hear the whole thing the way it was meant to be. But this is a nice, I guess you'd call it artifact of that time. So in that regard, it's very, and this came out, when did this come out? A couple of years ago. And it was cut by, I think this was cut by Chris Bellman, I want to say. It's in the credits, but I had a hard time getting it in this sleeve, so I'm just leaving it in there. But it was mastered beautifully. The sound is great. It's on 2 180-gram discs with the reproduction Rainbow Capital label. So they tried to make this look as much like what Smile was supposed to be in '67. So that's pretty cool. And the music's not bad, but it's just not a complete album. That's all. But I still liked it. And I still want to hear, the Brian Wilson version someday. So that was the second double album that I listened to yesterday. And then we followed it up last night with the new Christmas album by Eric Clapton called Happy Xmas. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, great, another star has finally released a Christmas album. I'll just show you the gatefolds here. I think these are all original Clapton drawings too. But it's definitely better than your average Christmas album. It's not schlocky at all. It's not cheesy the way a lot of Christmas music is. I mean, he does his version of White Christmas, but he just does it in a more of a bluesy style. He puts a little stank on it, like, what I'm trying to say. Away in a Manger, he does that. Home for the Holidays, he covers, actually, one of the most interesting tracks is he covers Jingle Bells, and he puts In Memory of Avicii here in parentheses, and it's almost like a dance track. Obviously, I guess Clapton must have been a fan of Avicii, but it's the one song on this album that is not like the others. not saying it's bad. It was actually quite good. I think my kids like that one the best. But, you know, he does Merry Christmas Baby, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. But it's just done in Clapton style with a bluesy guitar. And it's a 45 RPM record. One album is red vinyl, and the other one is green. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, this was a birthday present of mine the other day for my wife, and I didn't even know it existed, so I was even more surprised when I opened it. So this was a good listen, and it's probably going to get spun a couple more times here during the Christmas season and in future Christmases to come. Happy Xmas by Eric Clapton. And finally, the album I played just this morning, just before I made this video, Earth, Sun, Moon by Love and Rockets. Now, Love and Rockets was an offshoot band of Bauhaus. I believe when that band split up, Peter Murphy went on his own solo career, and the other members, I know Daniel Ash, I don't know who the other guy is, I can't remember, formed Love and Rockets. And this album came out in 1987, and I believe they had a bigger hit a couple of years later. I think it was maybe 1989 or 90, with a song called So Alive, which was overplayed on the radio so much that I'm almost sick of it. But still like the band, but overexposure to that song kind of put me off them a little bit. But there was another song that I heard a lot on the radio called No New Tale to Tell, which is on this album. And when I came across this one, it was I got this one fairly cheap. So I bought it because it had No New Tale to Tell on it. And here's the back cover. And it turns out this is actually a pretty decent album. These guys this album reminds me a lot of like The Church almost. It's got a kind of like that, especially on side 2, that kind of dreamy, not psychedelic, but kind of like a atmospheric type of pop sound. So I don't know if this would be considered alternative. I don't know if this would be considered power pop, but there's probably elements of both in here. And this turned out to be a surprise, more of a surprise than I thought. You know, because I just sprung for this album on the basis of one song, which is kind of unlike my usual buying habits. But I took a chance, and it turned out this was a good one. So Earth, Sun, Moon by Love and Rockets was a good listen. And I can see myself listening to this again. So I'm glad I got this one. So, oh, and I forgot to, I got to show you this. It's on Big Time Records. So I guess they hit the big time when they sign with these guys, huh? So there you go. Love and Rockets. Earth, Sun, Moon. Okay. That's pretty much it as far as my listening goes. Just a couple of things here before I leave you for the weekend. I have a quick 1-week contest going on. So far I've got 6 entries, and let me just read them off here quickly. I've got Andy Borders, H2 Vinyl, Jolly Roger, Sean's Vinyl Corner, William Now, and the great Steve Carlson. So you still have the weekend to make a video and enter if you so choose. And just to repeat, if you don't want the Johnny Cash book, you can always donate it to another person. But I'm going to say this as nicely as I can without trying to be a jerk about it. Quit telling me that I need to give this to my dad, because there's been several people who've commented in public and private that I should give the book to my dad anyway. No, that's not going to happen. I'm going to say this as nicely as I can. And if you happen to win the contest and your answer is, oh, I want you to give this to your dad, not going to happen. And you're going to get disqualified, and I'll just pick another name. So that's not what this is about. This isn't about him at all. This is about me spreading Christmas joy. So please don't make any more comments that I need to give this book to my dad. Okay? And if you win, you know, don't tell me, oh, I want you to give it to your dad, because that's not going to happen. Okay. All right. I'm going to take my belt off if you guys don't stop. But yeah, you still have the weekend to make an entry if you so choose. And just want to give a quick shout out to some people who comment on my videos and don't make videos of their own. Tina Ferrazzoli, you comment on my videos just about every time now. I really appreciate it. You have lots of very nice things to say, and I always appreciate it, and I always love seeing your comments. And then on my last video, Music Girl 67 was a first-time commenter, so thank you for that. I hope you continue and comment on other people's videos as well, I hope, and maybe even someday start making videos of your own. I'll be a subscriber, no problem. Okay, 21 minutes, all right. I know, we're talking about video lengths again on the Facebook group. Sorry. So, I just can't do it. Especially when I have, you know, so many records to show. So, I'm just going to cut it off here. Everyone have a good weekend. And I will see you all on Monday for the contest drawing. So until then, peace, and I'll see you.